Good afternoon, sports fans. Welcome back to another video. Now, we have a lot to unpack after yesterday's events in the NBA world. We had a huge trade that happened more than once, I guess. We had a lot of rumors about big-name players potentially on the move. So we're going to get right into that. Let's start with the biggest piece from yesterday, and that was the Kristaps Porzingus trade. Now, this trade had a lot of fans up and down and all kinds of range of emotion. And that was because, the news broke that Boston was getting Porzingus, the Clippers were getting Malcolm Brogdon, and, the Wizards were getting Marcus Morris. And then all of a sudden, the trade falls apart because the Clippers pull out of the deal. I don't know why, but apparently they did. But the Celtics and the Wizards still pursued on with the trade centered around Porzingus. And what the trade ended up being was the Celtics receiving Kristaps Porzingus, 2 first-round picks, one this year and one next year. I don't know why. I think the Celtics GM needs to be locked up because this is just straight up robbery. This is just ridiculous. I mean, I know the Wizards are in rebuild mode, but come on. You can do any better than this? The Wizards received Tyus Jones, 38 or 35 this year. Gallinari and Mike Muscala. So as Flight Reacts would say, they got a 10-piece chicken nugget with a bag of Lay's. That's pretty much all they got. Like I said, I don't know what the Wizards are doing. I know they're in rebuild mode, but come on, you're taking it too far. They're just, whatever offer is on the table, they're just going to take it at this point. They're getting fleeced. Somebody's taking advantage of them. The Grizzlies, which was surprising. I didn't expect them to be involved in the trade. We didn't hear anything about them being involved in the trade, but they are. They received Marcus Smart. Now, I'll get into how this trade works for both sides, the Celtics and the Grizzlies. Now, I know a lot of Celtics fans are heartbroken because Marcus Smart was a beloved player in Boston. He helped out with the culture of that team. He was loved there. He's a good guy, Defensive Player of the Year. But in my opinion, all biasness aside, because I'm not a Boston fan, I strictly look at Boston from what's best for their team. And I have no favoritism or no emotion towards these players. And I can say honestly that it was the best decision to get rid of Marcus Smart. It's better than getting rid of Malcolm Brogdon. Now, I know some people are kind of surprised probably because, Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year, he's helped them these past few years, and Marcus Smart loves Boston. He said he wanted to retire there. But honestly, his time's up. He needed to change the scenery. He's become an offensive liability. And yes, I know he's great defensively, but he's somewhat become a defensive liability. His just excessive amount of flopping has left for open threes, open shots, easy baskets. And I think that's what was holding Boston back. Getting rid of Malcolm Brogdon, 6-man Player of the Year, a guy good enough to be a starter, would have ruined your team. Now, I don't know if Malcolm Brogdon is going to start. I think they are still in look for a 1. And I think they can orchestrate a trade with some of their players now, their other bigs, in Williams and Horford. I don't know what's gonna go on with those two, because I just feel like that's 3 bigs on the floor, 3 bigs in your starting 5. And, I'm assuming they want to build a big 3 around JT, JB, and Porzingus. I don't know if Jaylen Brown is in it for the long run. I don't know if he's going to be a Celtic by the end of the offseason. And in my opinion, it's not the best idea to trade him. because whatever you're going to get, your team's going to get worse. Unless you just get a deal that you can't reject. If you get a KD-type deal, then so be it. You can't reject that. So I think it's their best decision to keep him, unless Jaylen Brown just straight up says, I'm not playing. But, again, Marcus Smart was holding their team back. I think Marcus Smart could maximize his talent as a six-man. I think he needs to wise up and say, I should be coming off the bench as a six-man. But, now him being in Memphis, I'll move on to the Memphis perspective of this. Ja Morant, Ja Wick is out 25 games, suspended. They're going to be needing a one this offseason. Or not this offseason, but just the first 25 games of the season. That's a good hunk of the season. People may not think 25 games is a lot. That's a lot. Especially when it decides whether or not you could be making it in the playoffs or not. Because, he still has time he needs to ease back in. I don't know where he's at mentally as a person and as a player. But they need another point guard, but I just don't know how this all fits. Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't even be that bad if they re-signed Dylan Brooks. I mean, but that starting five is going to look ugly without Ja. They needed to build around Ja, and at this point, I don't know if they're going to blow it up, just completely dismantle their team. I don't think so, but I just don't see Marcus Smart being in the long run for that team. I just don't think it fits. I don't think it pairs well. I mean, outside of Jaren Jackson, what kind of offense do you have? None, really. So, I don't know. I think that the starting five that we see for Memphis now it's not going to be the same by the time the season starts. Now, some other rumors moving off from the trade. I'm not even going to get into the Washington side of it. I mean, they're done. They're rebuilding. But some rumors that's been going around for past couple weeks. Damian Lillard. Is he staying with Portland? I mean, he said he wants to stay with Portland, but there's a lot of teams calling. Has Portland completely shut off and put him on the untouchable list? And I think that's happened. Now, he did say he wanted to play with Bam, and apparently the Blazers were prepared to make a huge play for Bam Adebayo, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I think Bam's a good player. I think it would be a good trade for the Blazers. Would it be a good trade for Miami? Hell no. That's a dumb trade. You need Adebayo. Now, getting rid of Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, maybe even Gabe Vincent for a guy who could have put you over the hump in that Denver series, that's a good decision. Getting rid of a guy when Jimmy Butler was nowhere to be found, who stepped up every single game of every single game of the playoffs, and especially in that finals, Adebayo was going toe-to-toe with the best big man in the world, and, I mean, he did what he could. Adebayo, I think he's still got a lot to learn. He still needs to develop, but he's a star player. He's a stud. It would make little to no sense to get rid of him unless you just get like Jaylen Brown. Unless you get some huge haul that you just can't say no to, then so be it. But I just don't see that happening. Now, if Portland doesn't manage to land Bam Adebayo, they really need to get serious about building around him. Because Portland claims they want to keep him so bad, yet they're not building an actual roster around him. Damian Lillard's best chance to win a ring is when he was side by side with C.J. McCollum. Batman and Robin, C.J. McCollum. I wouldn't even say Batman and Robin. That's not a fair comparison. C.J. McCollum carried the load for Damian Lillard. He helped tremendously. That was his best chance. Lillard's best chance was to win a ring was with a guy like McCollum. And what did they do? They traded him away. So obviously, to me, it seems like Portland's not serious about actually building a team around Dame. And if that's the case, stop wasting this guy's career and just get rid of him. Get rid of him. Rebuild. Restart. You're not going to rebuild around Anthony Simons. You're not going to rebuild around Yusuf Nurkic. Get rid of him if that's the case. I think if Jaylen Brown does come available, that might be a serious thing. They got the number 3 pick, and I think they could really land. And I heard the number 3 pick is up in discussion for trades, and especially with the draft being today, we're going to see how this all goes down. But with the number 3 pick, you can really pick a guy like Scoot Henderson, who I think is going to be a generational talent. I think Scoot is going to play with a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be mean. He's played, with the fact that he played in the G League, Team Ignite. That's like, and comparing him to Wembanyama and where he has played. That's like taking the best baseball I don't know if, because most of you probably don't watch baseball, but if you understand this analogy, I think you can say it's pretty accurate. You take the best high school baseball player, best player coming out of high school. You're going to say he's the next A-Rod or Mike Trout or Shohei, whatever. Then you take a guy who's the best prospect in AAA. I'm taking the AAA guy every single time. AAA has had experience playing with big leagues, guys who are injured and recovering from an injury, maybe even guys who've played in the big leagues and just didn't pan out that well. You're still playing with the cream of the crop. And I'm taking Scoot Henderson every single time. And I think he knows deep down that he is the best player in this draft, and he's going to fall, and he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder. Mark my words. I'm calling it. I'll be like, in the next 10 years, I'll be like, LeCap. I'll be lying that I called it, but I won't be lying. I'll be telling the truth. Where was I? See, I got lost. What I was saying was, you can draft a generational talent like Scoot, but is he going to put you in win now mode? I don't think so. So, what I think needs to happen, if you pick a guy like Scoot, or your next generational talent, Dame's gone. And we'll see today if this number 3 trade gets put up for grabs. If the number 3 trade does get put up for grabs, I think that definitely means Dame is staying, and they're willing and determined to build around Dame. So that's all. It's all for now, because we're going to have a lot of news to unpack, especially tomorrow. I don't know if maybe Ayton's on the move. I don't know. It's going to be pretty big. So we'll have to see. So thank you, and have a good rest of your day.